This is Elliot. This is Miles. Elliot and Miles live on the planet Moletoria, which is like Earth but much smaller. So small that they are the only two fishermen. And at noon, they go to town to sell the fish they caught. For each fish they catch, they get 1 Moletoria token. Therefore, the harder they work or the better they are at catching fish, the more tokens they get to spend on personal expenses or better fishing gear. Sounds fair, right? Let's see how it plays out. Elliot and Miles wake up at 6 AM and start fishing at 7. Maybe he worked harder, maybe he got lucky, but Elliot got a massive catch today, whereas Miles's catch was decent, but nothing special. Miles therefore earns just enough to provide for his family, but Elliot is also able to make a profit alongside filling his own expenses. In the evening, Elliot goes back to town and uses his profit to rent a new and improved boat. Sounds fair, right? Let's see how it continues. Elliot and Miles wake up at 6 AM and start fishing at 7. Miles was really determined after doing worse yesterday and works very hard to catch more than either of them did yesterday. But Elliot's catch was even bigger because his new boat allowed him to go into a new area filled with fish and catch much more fish than previously possible. Miles tries to rent a boat himself, but because there are more tokens in the fishing industry now, inflation has happened and the price of boats has increased. Elliot, however, now has enough tokens to buy a larger and better net. Sounds fair, right? Let's see how it continues. Miles wakes up at 3 AM and starts fishing at 4. He knows he has to work extra hard when he doesn't have the better boat or net. Elliot wakes up at 6 AM and starts fishing at 7. Miles again has worked really hard. He's perfected his technique and is almost as good as if he had the boat. But Elliot doesn't just have the boat anymore, he also has the net, so he can still catch way more fish than Miles can. Elliot's now able to buy a deluxe rod alongside his boat and net. Miles can only still buy some maggots. Sounds fair, right? Let's see how it continues. Miles wakes up at 3 AM and starts fishing at 4. Elliot also wakes up at 3 AM and starts fishing at 4 because he doesn't want to let his competitor get any closer to his lead. Miles does pretty well, but he's tired, so he can't fish nearly as many as he has caught in the past. Elliot, however, catches so much fish because of all of his improvements that he has enough to provide for Miles's clients as well. Because Elliot's fish are from further out in the sea due to his boat, Miles doesn't earn his usual amount of tokens for his fish and can't buy as much food for dinner time with his hungry kids. Sounds fair, right? Let's see how it continues. Elliot and Miles wake up at 3 AM and start fishing at 4. Elliot has decided he has to catch only the best quality fish from here on out so as to poach Miles's clients and outcompete him. Because he catches so many fish with all of his improvements, he can afford to be selective and put all the normal boring fish to waste, while still having enough for the complete market. Miles, however, can't afford to be selective because he doesn't have enough fish to sell for tokens otherwise, even though he works the hardest he ever has done in his life. As a result, his usual clients go and buy Elliot's fancy fish instead. Elliot gets more tokens, and Miles can no longer compete. Miles's family are now very hungry. Sounds fair, right? Let's see how it continues. Elliot and Miles wake up at 3 AM. Elliot comes to Miles with a deal. The deal is that if Miles does Elliot's work for him and catches fish for Elliot to sell, Elliot will give Miles enough tokens to feed his family. Miles accepts and starts fishing at 5 AM. Miles works hard, while Elliot does barely anything. Elliot gets a massive profit and gives Miles just enough to provide for his family. Elliot's living life at the top of society, and Miles is living life at the bottom. Miles has no choice but to continue working for Elliot, or else he wouldn't have enough to feed his family. Elliot hires another employee, Jack, similar to how he hired Miles. Because of this, Elliot can be more and more selective in the fish he sells, seeing as more is being caught. and charge more and more tokens for the fish because of the quality. As Elliot's profits increase, he gains money faster than his employees do, and so they lose power relative to him. Sounds fair, right? Let's see how it continues. Jack and Miles wake up at 6 AM and start fishing at 7. In order to make his profit expand, Elliot encourages his employees to work as hard as possible by offering them more tokens based on how hard they work. Sounds fair, right? I wonder how it plays out.